Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 5, whether you're watching it on YouTube or listening it on the podcast. If it's something that you're enjoying, please subscribe or follow, share. I would so appreciate getting this message out to more and more people. Week 5 is going to be phenomenal. This concept is really what broke open a lot for me when I got into personal development. And what it is it's regarding your 5 senses in your higher faculties, which, if you're anything like me, you didn't really understand or even know that your higher faculties existed. When we got into kindergarten, first grade, we were just taught our 5 senses: hear, see, smell, taste, touch. And as you'll see today, the difference between the two and why we have them. It's so amazing. And really, the 5 senses, we're programmed to live from the outside in. So we take in all this information and we gather it, and that's what we live by. And truly, that's our 5 senses. And what we'll dive in today is your higher faculty, and that's going from the inside and living from the inside out. And I have a quote from Napoleon Hill. And what he said is an educated person is not necessarily a person is not necessarily a person with an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. So an educated person is someone who has so developed the faculties of their mind that they can acquire anything that they want or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. I'm going to say that again. An educated person is not necessarily a person with an abundance of generalized or special knowledge. An educated person is someone who has so developed the faculties of their mind that they can acquire anything that they want or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. And what that's saying is that you can gather all the knowledge that you want. However, in order to get what it is you truly desire, that's where your higher faculties come into play, which we're going to just dive right into today because I just cannot wait. So let me share my screen here. Let's see. All right. Let me go here. Okay. So the higher faculties, let me get in presenter mode. It's going to be a good one, you guys. I can't wait. All right. 5 senses. Like I said, when you got into kindergarten or first grade, if you're anything like me, hear, see, smell, taste, touch. That's all we were taught. You were not taught about your higher faculties. What your higher faculties are: your perception, your will, imagination, memory, reason, and intuition, which I will dive into each of them today. But think about this. Think about what you were taught. Hear, see, smell, taste, touch. That's it. And what these are made for is they're made to enhance the experience we're having in life. So you hear beautiful music, you hear the baby crying, you hear the voice of your loved one, you hear the train coming, and that will help you to move out of the way. So the hearing factor is to enhance our life and how we make it through life. And then you go to smell. You smell the beautiful food. You smell maybe the not so good food, so you know not to eat it because it will probably make you sick. You smell the flowers. You smell that perfume or cologne that a past loved one, maybe your grandparents that are no longer here. You smell them, and your heart goes right back to that place in time. It's made for you to, again, connect to the beautiful smells, bring you back to different memories and different parts of your life. It's made for you to have that sense of life through smell. Same with taste. taste. You taste cuisines, you taste different things that are either pleasurable or you don't like them, they're painful in some ways, so taste is just, it's for you to figure out what it is you like and then spend a lot of time in that part of taste. Then you have touch. Touch. Now, this is a lot of people's love language. This is where some people are off limits, don't come near me. I have my bubble, or other people are like, I just want to be, touched, and I want to feel, loved and cared for. So it's animals, it's holding the hand of the loved one. It's having that sensory of touch that again will bring you back to different places or experiences that you've had in life. It's truly a way of what we live through is the touch in world. And your vision. You get to see the sights of the world. You get to see art, beautiful sunrises and sunsets. It's to help you see danger and to see beauty, and it gets you safely through life. And that's same going back to touch. If the stove's hot, you usually touch it once. So our five senses are meant for us to experience the world and learn how to navigate through the world to get from where you are to the end of your life more safely through experiences with your hear, see, smell, taste, touch. You know what to go towards and what to go away from. So it's definitely will bring us to the higher faculties, which I've already touched on. And these are within us. So we all have our higher faculties, and I never heard of these until I was 40 years old. Now, I'd heard of them here and there. I heard of the will, or intuition, obviously imagination, how your perception, but I never thought of them. And I never understood that they were our higher faculties. They were a gift that was given to us. And really to understand them and to study them and to implement them in your life will change everything for you. Because as Albert Einstein said, your intuitive mind, which are your higher faculties, your intuitive mind is a sacred gift. And the rational mind, your five senses, is a faithful servant. Intuitive mind, higher faculties, is a sacred gift, and the five senses is a faithful servant. It serves us to get through this life. However, we have created a society that honors the five senses and the servant and has forgotten our sacred gift, our higher faculties. And it is so true. As we dive in, you'll see this more and more. So starting with perception. Now, perception is our point of view. It's how you view the world and from your standpoint. So if you want to change your point of view, change your perspective, change your perception. So we create our own reality through how we perceive things to be. A lot of who we are today is through past environments we've grown up in, what we've been told is true or not true, right or wrong, has shaped our reality. And in so many cases, it's not even the truth for us anymore. But we live through this perception and this reality that's been created for us because we don't understand that we can shift this at any moment in time by shifting your perspective and your perception. You can change your point of view. A lot of people do that with themselves. Self-image, you will never outperform your self-image. So how you see yourself right now is what you'll get for results. So if you want to see yourself as a fierce person that will go after their goals and do whatever it takes versus someone that just complies or lets all their reasoning and their habitual behaviors and their excuses and rationalization keep them stuck with where they're at, it's your point of view. It's what you decide is your reality. And once you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. You have all those pictures, the illusionaries, where you look at one thing and you see it this way or you see it another way. And sometimes you have to focus really, really hard to see what other people are seeing because you just can't see it because you're so wired to only see a certain thing or think a certain way. I mean, those are what I love about the pictures where you can see one thing and then you really, I mean, I've had to leave and come back to be able to see what other people are seeing. And that's because you switch your point of view and your perception and your perspective of the picture. And that's a higher faculty, and it's something that you'll want to work at and flex in order to really, really understand this. It changes everything. Virtual reality, it's like I'll put that virtual reality on my kids, and I'll sit in my chair in my living room and think I'm on a roller coaster and my heart will start beating and I'll just be leaning and like, whoa, because that's my point of view and that's the reality that I'm creating. And other people can really rationalize and know that they're not on a roller coaster. They can enjoy the experience, but they're not so connected to it because we have different points of view through the looking at the same thing. And so this is just some examples of perception. Sitting with a friend or a loved one or someone that you're spending time with, you can be sitting right next to them, looking out at the same water, looking at the same sunset, same town, just as this picture is. And I can guarantee you both are having very, very different experiences because where you're at today or where you're sitting at in these chairs, each of you, is a direct reflection of all of your past, all of your conditioning, all of your points of view, all of your habitual behaviors and your paradigms and what's been spoken over you and to you. Your point of view are coming from two completely different places. You're having two completely different experiences, though you're looking at the same thing. So I love putting that picture in there because it just makes you think. And I've always been this person where if I'm in a big stadium, whether it's a concert or a sporting event, I'm looking around and I'm just in awe at these thousands and thousands of people that each of them have their very own story. Each of them could probably write 50 books with the experiences and what they've been through, good, bad, ugly, all of it. It's just so interesting if you think about how different we all are and how we all have different gifts and we come at life from a different perspective and perspective and just going that way. And it's just, oh, I just love it. I think it's just so cool. And for me, when I first met my first coach, Bob Proctor, we talk about the table exercise. I was in a pretty tough co-parenting relationship for many, many years. And it was just a battle. It was a battle and it was a battle. It was a battle. It wasn't until I met Bob and he brought me through this exercise and just looking at the same situation that had been the same way for well over a decade, from a different perspective. He said, you have been sitting in the same chair at the same table with the same situation, looking at it from the same viewpoint. What would it look like if you got out of your chair, walked around to the other side of the table, and looked at it through a different lens? Look at it through the other person's lens. Look at it through what they're seeing and know that everyone's doing the best they can do with the information, the tools, the resources, the upbringing, the environment that they have created or that's been created for them. And there's a whole different appreciation exercise that I'd love to get into. If you want it, it shifted everything for me. Let me know, make a comment, and I'll get that out to you. But really, if you're stuck or if you're in a really tough place or situation, it can be so helpful to look at it from a different perspective. A lot of times you don't want to do this because you want to dig your heels in because you want to be right. But I'm telling you, you get your power back when you decide to, instead of looking at the 5,000 foot view, You go out and you look at the same situation from a different angle or from the 50,000-foot view, and you get a lot of different information. So if this is something you're struggling with, and most people are, let me know and we can talk more because it literally changed everything for me. There's a story behind that too, and it makes most people, I know this works because if once you hear my story on that, it will change everything for you. But it's how you go through life. Are you always the victim? Is it always happening to you instead of happening for you? Or are you looking for the opportunity? Are you looking for the good, saying at least it's half full? Let's go find the other half. Or gratitude, appreciation. Are you in victim mode? And all it's just there's two different ways. And the energy of the person you come in contact with. You'll very quickly realize whether they're a leader or they're a victim, whether everything's happening for them or it's happening to them. And once you understand this energy, and once you understand that this is the reality we create, you'll definitely, I know if you're anything like me, your circle will get a lot smaller, a lot quicker because you just will not have time for that. Because until people change and make the decision, it's just going to be an energy suck if they are victims, and it's a hard place to be. I was one for 40 years until I found this information. Trust me, it takes one to know one. And now I definitely catch myself whenever I'm going there, and it is so powerful. And yeah, it's true. You're either a victim or a leader, and you get to choose. And it's through the perspective and perception of how you perceive something that you decide. So it's so powerful. Next is the will. So we talk about willpower, or the will is to hold one picture on the screen of your mind. So as you're thinking, there's power in being able to hold a picture on the screen of your mind by using your will. You know, confusion is caused when too much information is coming in. And in this day and age, all we have is information just coming at us. And that's why people talk about taking a break from technology or putting a screen limit time on, because the amount of information and the speed to what it's coming at us we're not meant for that. It's too much. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, that's the first thing I would talk to you about. And I talk to a lot of my elite clients about is just, taking focus time, and putting away all distractions and really looking at working on your will and the ability to hold a picture on the screen of your mind. And there's a couple different exercises. The first one is to light a candle, maybe sit 10, 15 feet away from it and just stare at the flame and just stare at it. And try to not try, because there is no try, become one with the flame. And the thoughts will rush in because, again, that's all we're getting is bombarding with thoughts all the time. And then just bring it back. And then the thoughts will come in and bring it back. And then thoughts, and just like continue to focus. And the more you do that, and the more you flex that muscle of will, the further apart the thoughts will come rushing in. And it will get you to control your mind more and to be able to control the will of what you do let in. It's very, very powerful. And another one would be a dot. So you put a dot on the wall. And if you've ever done this, you stare at it, and all of a sudden, like you morph into it, or it kind of like almost like changes. I don't know. It's very, very cool, but that's your will. And that's where you become one with it. So whether it's a flame or a dot, really decide how you're going to start strengthening your will. This is one that I will work on for a very long time. Meditation is the way that I'm working on it as well. But it's really holding the picture, which is your goal in many cases, on the screen of your mind and not letting anything else in. It's pretty cool. And I think about as a kid, when you had a magnifying glass and you take the rays from the sun and you bring it into one bead through the magnifying glass onto the leaf, and you could start a leaf on fire. And if you think about that power into one stream of light that will just like ignite an object on fire, that is what your will is to your thoughts. So if you can take all this power and energy and force within your mind and in your will and bring it to one thing, that's where quantum leaps happen. That's where you get from where you are to where you want to be in a record amount of time. It is so powerful. And I never understood the will and willpower like this until I learned it like this and understood exercises and really how to strengthen the will, because it is the key. It's the key. And the sooner you can teach this to your children or teach this to people around you, it can unlock just about anything you desire if you can hold it on the screen of your mind and really understand will and what to do to strengthen it. It will unlock the chains. It will unlock a lot of the old paradigms, a lot of the old thoughts and beliefs. If you can change and really hone in on the will and hold that picture of your goal on the screen of your mind, everything else will break loose. It is so cool. It will take you to places you could have never imagined. Being able to get people over the fear of heights. Like, I don't know that I could ever do this. And that's because I haven't held it on the screen of my mind and imagined it, which we'll get into as well. But it can take you places and it can unlock things that you never knew possible. It's so, so amazing. So dial up the will, dial up the willpower, and dial up your higher faculty of the will and strengthen that muscle, because it is a muscle and you do need to flex it over and over and over again in order for it to strengthen and the thoughts to become further and further away and you to be able to hyper focus in on one thing. It's a tremendous power. It takes the impossible and makes it possible. And if you look at the word impossible, it's I'm possible. So just look at it from a different perspective. Instead of impossible, it's I'm possible, and figure out a way. It's so powerful. Next is imagination. Now, imagination is such a thing as where everything's created twice. First in your mind, and then it's created outside world. So you think about everything around you, the chair you're sitting in, the artwork maybe on the wall, or if you're in the car you're driving in. It's all was first created as a thought in someone's mind, and then it came to fruition and they got it out of their mind and into the outside world. So what does that look like? It's taking something from either a piece of paper or a picture or an idea and birthing it and making it so that it's for others to enjoy. Think about a butterfly and the whole, from the caterpillar to the cocoon to a beautiful butterfly. It's all a process and it's just so, so amazing. The world with your imagination is at your fingertips. So you can truly imagine whatever it is you desire. I know as kids, we were always told to imagine. Use your imagination, go find something to do, figure it out, you know. And then when we got to school age, it was stop daydreaming, pay attention, raise your hand, listen for the bell, stand in line, walk in a line. We were just like, it was almost like beat out of us, like no more imagination, except for maybe one or two assignments throughout your school career. But then it was conform, conform, conform. So what I'm saying is go back to your imagination and start building on that again. Go back to a childlike imagination and really know that whatever you can think of in your mind, you can hold in your hand. So if you can think it, there's a way that it can come to fruition in the outside world, and build it. Find the resources, find the friends, find the people, but don't give up on any of your dreams and use your imagination to figure it out and really start knowing that the imagination It's a gift. It's one of your higher faculties. And the more you can go to your imagination and imagine your goal already done, imagine what it feels like waking up and having what it is you desire here in the now, in the present moment. And if you connect to that feeling and imagine it done and imagine what it feels like, your subconscious doesn't know the difference. So the more you impress upon your subconscious that is here and done, it will accept it. And then by the laws of the universe, it will happen. The people, the situations, the money, the opportunities, they will be put in your path because that's how it works. It's amazing. Now imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge will only take you so far. It's limited. Your imagination can take you anywhere. It is forever. And no one can control your thoughts. That's the one thing. The two things that you can control is your thoughts and your attitude. No one can make you think a certain way. So using your imagination and really understanding this higher faculty and starting to use it and flex it, it's powerful. They all are powerful. It'll take you anywhere you want to go. You just have to take the time and write it out. Take the time and think about it. Take the time and use your imagination to build whatever it is that you want, because it's yours for the taking. Now, intuition is one that I always had as a child, and many people are intuitive, some more than others. So as we're going through these higher faculties, I would suggest that you start working on one. For me, when I learned this at age 40, I started working on intuition because I already had a good feeling of intuitiveness. I mean, I remember back as a kid, and I'm sure some people can relate to this. You just knew when something felt good, when something was right, when something wasn't right. I know some kids' houses that I went to, you felt the energy was off, and some I went to, I never wanted to leave, because we're all like energy, and there's a wave of energy around us. And so it's trusting your intuition and really starting to listen to it. Because again, if you think about us, we're all energy, we're all connected, and there's a force field of energy around each of us. And what your intuition is that you're picking up on the other person's energy. That's why sometimes you'll be walking on the street and you'll just move to the other side because there's an energy coming at you that you're not wanting to be around. Or you're driving and all of a sudden it's like, well, why don't you go left instead of straight? Take a different way home. Follow it. It's for a reason. It could be keeping you from an accident, or it could be putting you in the place of an accident to meet someone that you're meant to meet. For me, clients, I knew when I met them, do not work with them. Do not take this client on. Do not do it. Do not. And I did it. And every single time I knew better. Why didn't I listen to my intuition? I knew I shouldn't have. And I'm sure you've experienced things like that before. So intuition is something that you start listening to, you start taking these notes, and you let logic go by the wayside and you turn towards your intuition. Because intuition, if you think about it, it's God talking to you, or God, universe, source, spirit, higher power, whatever that is for you. But it's how you're communicating with the higher self, with your inner being. So, and it's meant to get you to your goals, and it's meant to keep you safe in a different way than hear, see, smell, taste, touch, because those are meant to keep you safe from the outer world, and this is working from the inner world, inside out. So intuition. And think about, what are you letting go of? Like, what's coming into your intuition? You're like, yeah, no, not for me, could never, would never. Or maybe someone's like, call that person, or you should go here. And you just keep hearing or feeling this intuitive hit to do something, but you're ignoring it. What are you letting fall into the cutting room floor before you ever get a chance to come to life? Because there are more dreams and more goals and more things that people desire that hit the cutting room floor before you ever even give it a chance to come to life, because you're not following your intuition, or you have a worthy issue, or a self-image or confidence, or who am I, or that could never happen, or that only happens to these people. And whatever story or perspective you have, you're letting it run the show. So intuition, another key to getting what it is that you desire, and connecting with your purpose and passion and why you're here. Intuitively, we're all intuitive. And I recommend, even if you are intuitive at a high level, continue to flex the muscle. And if you haven't been following your intuition, start. Even if it's little things, start. And you'll slowly build that muscle up. And through the proof of taking action on these intuitive hits, you'll continue, because they're there for a reason. And it's beautiful. So your memory, memories, people say, I have a good memory, I have a bad memory. There really isn't a bad memory. Memories are by association. So it's developing a memory by, different associations, whether it's pictures or instances, words, or a lot of people will remember people's names by, associating it with something else in their life. People have learned and memorized the Bible. You can work on your memory. It's just deciding and working on it. A lot of people, I used to think I have a bad memory. I really don't have a bad memory. I've just locked memories away and I ignore them, or I don't go and revisit them. But if you go and you sit there long enough and you think about it, it will start unlocking and coming back to life, and you'll remember things that you had no idea were still in there. And it's pretty cool. But we will use crutches. We'll use Post-it notes. I have a bad memory, so I have to put all this stuff out. And again, a lot of it's noise, and a lot of it's just taking things that we associate with a bad memory and using them as crutches, and not going in and really doing the work that you need to. What is beautiful is that you can take pictures, look back on a birth, look back on a wedding, look back on graduation, look back on maybe a past friend that you haven't seen in 20 years, and you can find these pictures in a box and go through them 20, 30 years later and feel like you can get reconnected through that association to that feeling, to where you were. It brings you back to that memory and maybe where you were at in life. Sometimes a song will come on and maybe it'll bring you back to a really good time, or sometimes it's like, I heard that song when that tragedy, or this thing that wasn't so great happened in my life. So there are different associations to different memories. But what you want to do is you want to take your memory and you want to develop it and work on it, and sit with some memories that maybe you don't want to sit with, and know that you can strengthen your memory if you work on it, like any of the other muscles, like any of the other higher faculties. The smells, like we talk about with smell, it can bring you back and bring you back to certain memories and times. So take the different associations and know that the memories are there to be unlocked. You just have to give them the space to do so. And then we have reason. Reason gives us the ability to think. So when you're thinking, and when something's happening, that's where a lot of, like, I talk about responding versus reacting. When you reason with someone or something, you can respond to a situation and stay in control, or you can react to a situation and lose control and give the other person all of your power. So responding versus reacting is another one of the first few things I learned in my personal development journey, and understanding that when you reason and you have the ability to think and the ability to choose differently and the ability to respond versus react, because I was so reactive. I was a victim. Everything was like trigger happened and boom, I was just like reacted right away, right away, right away. And it's when you give yourself, when the trigger happens or the event, and you give yourself space to respond, that's where you take your power back. Because when you get in a conflict or you get in an argument, or you just like shoot back when someone says something or does something, it really is giving them the power. Because like if I'm saying things to you and you're reacting and you're not happy or it triggers something in you, that's 99.9% because I held a mirror up and you did not like what you saw. So you reacted to it. So give yourself some space and think about your reasoning factor and your ability to really think, because we were given this higher faculty because you have a thought, what your thought creates a feeling, and the feeling, whether it's good or bad, creates action, and that action will create your result. So that's why I talk about if you don't like your results, you back it up. It's because of action you're taking or not taking, and you're taking or not taking action because of how you're feeling, and you're feeling the way you're feeling because of your thoughts. And that's your reasoning factor, the ability to think. If you don't like your results, start thinking a different way. So powerful. Never knew this was a higher faculty. Didn't understand it this way. And I continue to hear it differently. And that's a beautiful thing about personal development, about mindset, about, however you view the world, is it's forever changing. And this is a journey. There is no finish line because you are always changing. So you will always hear this information differently. If you save these videos and you start working on your higher faculties and start even flexing some of these muscles, I guarantee you, if you come back and watch this series next year, next fourth quarter, you'll hear it completely different because you will be completely different. It is so astounding and cool. But reason, it's a belief or an act. It's how you show up. It's whether you think it's good or bad. It's your thoughts. It's how you perceive something. It's just what you choose to think and your ability to choose different. It's your reasoning factor. It's so cool. In a lot of our environment, what we hear, what we let in, what we choose to think, what size we choose to take, it's all on us. So your results are a direct reflection of your ability to think and your reasoning factor. So if you're not liking your results, you really need to focus and work on your ability to think and your reasoning factor, because it can change everything and you can be the one that stands out. So if 95% of people are going one way, I very, very much encourage you to be part of the 5% that goes the other way and start thinking for yourself. Start with your ability to think. You don't like your results, or if you're not where you want to be, it starts there. With your reason, it can take you any which road you desire, but you're in control. You're in the driver's seat. So it's up to you. With that said, we've come to the end. Now, week 5, so powerful. I love week 5. I love higher faculties versus 5 senses. I didn't understand this. I didn't even know this was a thing until I met Bob at age 40 and all this was laid out for me. Repetition. I would watch this again and again, write these down, look them up. There's books on each of them, how to get a better memory, how to be more intuitive, perception, perspective, your will, imagination. It's all there. And start living from the inside out and using your higher faculties, and you will instantly see a change and see a shift. It's so powerful, and we have the power inside of us and at our fingertips. It's just having the awareness. And I also have this in my podcast, awareness. Once you know, you can't unknow. I go through each of these together and then separate episodes and get really deep dive into each of them. So go look that up if you want to, whichever one you want to start with. I would work on one at a time. You can start there. And if you need any other resources, comment below. Again, if you're on YouTube, if you're listening on the podcast, share, subscribe, like, comment. I'd love to get this out to as many people as I can. And the more involvement and engagement I have, the more people will reach. So without any more ado, let me know how I can be helping. That's what I'm here for. And we'll see you next week for week 6.